Hey guys, how's it going? It's Thursday. Thought we would do some baking. I'm going to bake it's a chocolate cobbler. I don't know if you watched yesterday's video. I couldn't remember the name of it. It was like ooey gooey chocolate cake love thing, but it's a chocolate cobbler. It's also very similar to a lava cake, but it's got some nuances. It's a weird way to bake a cake, but it requires next to nothing, and it's kind of neat. It's kind of a dump and stir cake. So, that being said, if you're new, welcome, as always. If you're returning, thank you. Either way, I'm either doing something right, and I hope you get something out of this. Don't forget to subscribe down below, here. And a notification bell right next to it. That way you know when my videos come out if you're so inclined to still watch them. And again, welcome to another new subscriber. We're growing. That's awesome, as always. The notification bell, like I said, let you know when my videos come out. And I never, ever take for granted when you guys watch my videos. Take time out of your day to spend it with me. Comments, love them. Be respectful. And you can disagree. Cool. You don't have to like it. You can argue with me, you can debate it, let's do it politely, just be respectful with it. Thumbs up, thumbs down, I don't press either way. They do a couple things for us. They let me know if I'm doing something good or bad, and they get my videos out there so our neighborhood can grow. But anyhow, that being said, let's talk about this chocolate cobbler. I'm going to get down here to the counter where we can see some things, and we'll talk about what all we got going on, what all we need. It's very simple. We don't need a mixer, not even a hand mixer. We can just use a whisk, and we'll take it from there. All right, let me get you down here to the counter. Okay, so down here at the counter as always, and let's talk about some things we'll need. We will need a couple mixing bowls. I got one here. I got one behind you. Just medium-sized mixing bowls. There's no large quantities of anything, but 2 medium-sized mixing bowls would work. You're going to need an 8x8-inch pan. Now, if you've got a 1.5 quart pan, it's a square pan, great. I don't have a 2 quart 8x8, so I'm going to recommend that. First thing I did was, we'll see how it turns out, is I sprayed this down with non-stick vegetable spray. You can also use butter, grease, shortening, whatever you got available. My choice of weapon this today was a glass Pyrex dish 8x8 with vegetable spray. So we get that out of the way because we don't need that quite yet. Next thing we'll need to do is turn our oven on 350 degrees. All right, get that warming up. Another tool I always recommend, scale. Scales are good, especially in the world of baking. And then, last but not least, you will need a whisk, or 2. I have 3, so 4 technically, so that'll all work. But you need a whisk, a scale, a couple of bowls, and about a dozen ingredients. Well, some of them are duplicated. Like I said, this cake is an interesting cake. It's not like one I've ever done before. So, after I got my stove up to temp, I took, I don't know, a little over a half a cup of walnuts. The recipe calls for a half a cup, and I toasted them. I put them in the oven for about 5 minutes. You'll start to smell them. That's how you know they're done. But I went ahead and toasted them up. These are an optional topping for this cake that you put them on afterwards. So I went ahead and got those done. Next thing I did was in my sauce pot, I got a cup of boiling water going. Well, I've got it simmering, barely simmering because I had to turn it off because I was losing all my water. But you need really hot water anyway. If you have a tea kettle, great. I don't. Of all the things I own, I don't have a tea kettle. Alright, so, like I said, it looks like there's a lot of ingredients here that go on for days. And in a way there is, but like I've got sugar duplicated, I've got cocoa just duplicated, and salt, salt duplicated. This gets salt in 2 different places. So, as always, I've got it written down, just like always. And in yesterday's video, I know I made things really complicated. There was a lot of ingredients, and for that I apologize. But I did put the list of ingredients in the description per request. Somebody had asked me to put them in there, and I did. And I'm going to try my hardest to start putting at least the ingredients list um, in the description. I'm not sold on putting how-tos yet, but I will at least try my best to put the ingredients list in there. So that being said, let's get started. In our first bowl, we're going to do 2 separate bowls. Okay. Our first bowl, we need 1 cup of flour, which is 120 grams. All right, it's just all-purpose flour, regular old flour. We're going to throw that in there. All right, and then to that, all right, we're going to add our baking powder, which is 2 tablespoons or 8 grams. Pop that in there. Then we're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt, which is 2 grams, right here. Like I said, it looks like a lot, but it goes pretty quick. All right, and then we're going to add our some sugar, 2/3 of a cup, which is 134 grams. All right, now, real quick on the grams thing, I've learned. Everybody's recipe, I've got probably 10 different recipes in this book, and depending on what recipe you read, depends on what the grams are. As far as measurements go, like I have one recipe where 2/3 of a cup is 138 grams. I have one that's 2/3 of a cup is 130 grams, and I thought I'd noticed this being kind of weird to begin with. Reason for that is grams don't break up evenly into cups or tablespoons or teaspoons. So depending on the person who's writing the recipe, depends on where it lies. I usually verify things with Alexa before I go any further and run with her. And it's around 130 grams, but I'm running with 134 because that seems to be my most common number for 2/3. All right, so we're gonna put that in there. We're gonna use 1.5 tablespoons of cocoa, all right, or cocoa, which is 11 grams, and that's pretty consistent across the board no matter who you talk to. Get all that lovely cocoa out of there. Now, I at least use a bittersweet cocoa. I'm using a Dutch processed cocoa, which is a little more refined. It's more bitter than bittersweet or semi-sweet, but it's just pure cocoa. It's 100% pure. But you can use bittersweet. You can use semi-sweet, I'm sure. I've never known a recipe where you couldn't use a different form of that. All right, and to this, I'm going to make a little well in the middle. I'm going to add a half a cup of milk, room temperature, all right, which is 204 milliliters or grams. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of butter in the mix, all right, which is 31 grams, and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which is 4 grams. All right, vanilla seems to be consistent across the board. It's always 4 grams. All right, and then we're just going to give this a good mix and mix this up. It's like we're making brownies, basically. All right, we got that mixed up, and I'm going to grab a spatula and the pan. So the next thing we're going to do after we get all that mixed up is we're going to take our 8x8, just like such, and we're going to put this in our baking pan. And when I was reading the recipe that I got this recipe from my friend Rob. I don't remember where he got it from, but it is on our Facebook group page. Yeah, so there's another resource for you. If you want the directions, just look up Mr. Smith's Kitchen on Facebook. It's a group. It's a public group. There's, no restrictions, no hesitations. Same rules apply on it that apply on this. Well, I mean, there's like one exception. No talking about politics. That's it. Yeah, we can talk about family life. We can talk about, baking and cooking and, fun stuff. But I want to leave, there's too much, shenanigans on Facebook as it is, and I'd really like to leave that out of that part of our neighborhood. Yeah, but we're going to get this down in here evenly. All right, we got that down in there evenly. So now we're just gonna set this aside again real quick, like such, and grab our second bowl. If you are new to my channel, you've pretty much seen my entire kitchen. There's about another 2 feet behind the camera before you're outside on the deck. I have a small galley kitchen at the moment, but I'm hoping that'll change. All right, so in my second bowl, we're gonna need the following ingredients. We are going to put in a 1/4 cup of sugar, which is 50 grams. And that seems to be pretty standard across the board, is sugar. It's always about 200 grams a cup. A 1/2 cup of brown sugar, and then brown sugar, funny creature when it comes to grams. But I'm going to tell you it's 100 grams. Because it depends on what baking process you use. It could be a 1/2 cup could be 100 grams, it could be 110 grams, or it could be 114 grams. But the standard is 200 grams a cup, 100 grams a 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. All right, so 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar, 100 grams. We're going to need another 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Right there, that's 1 gram. All right, and then we're going to need a quarter. Not a quarter, but 1 tablespoon of cocoa. Once again, I'm using the Dutch process. That didn't change. Although, that would be neat to use like a semi-sweet or a bittersweet in one part and then use a cocoa in the other. Wonder how that would taste. And then we'll grab another whisk apparatus and kind of give that a quick mix. Like such. And this is almost like a crumb topping to an extent. Get our milk down there. If you have any big clumps, you'll want to kind of smush them out. Because brown sugar does have a tendency to be very clumpy. Alright, I think we're good and mixed, big clumps out of there. So, what we have to do with this is we're going to take our batter that we just put in the pan, flatten it back out, it got uneven sitting over there. And we're going to take our mix right here, and we're going to sprinkle this on. But we're not going to mix it in. I know, right? This is like weird. There's no eggs. Not a lot of butter to speak of. We're putting a crumble topping on top of batter. It's kind of like brownies. Kinda. Got that on there like such. Get the whole thing in there. Just like that. Give that a good spread even. And then we got one more ingredient to go with this. And we're literally going to do no mixing. So we've got our batter on the bottom. We've got all the dry goods, the sugar, the brown sugar, the salt, the cocoa, on top there. Now we're going to take our cup of boiling water, which is really hot. And we're just going to pour this on top. We're not going to stir it in. Just like such. Alright, we got our cup of water on top of there. Doing good there. So now what do? Well, we got our oven preheated to 350 degrees, like we talked about at the very beginning of this video. We're going to stick this in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. And the only thing it says on the directions is bake for 30 minutes or until the top of the cake is almost set. The cake will rise to the top and the pudding will form on the bottom. That's what it says. Now, almost set to me means it looks a little set on the top, but it's still a little wiggly. So we'll see. So I'm going to put this in the oven for 30 minutes, and when I come back, we'll take a look and check it out. All right, I'll see you here in just a moment. Okay, so 30 minutes in the oven, and turn my oven off. There's that, and we'll see what we got going on here. So I know it smells just like a brownie. It looks like a brownie. Although I can tell you it looks very lava-like, pudding-like down on the bottom. Now, what they mean by almost set, I don't know if you can see that or not, but see how it's kind of wiggly and jiggly still? But see the difference in color between the two? How it's dark underneath the brownie-like topping? That's what I think we're going for, and the fact that it's slid a little. So, what are we going to do now? Well, first thing I'm going to do is take some of these walnuts and just put them on the top, like such. Because I like walnuts, why not? I will take my spoon and shove them down on there a little bit. Now as this cools, because it's not completely set and it is very sponge-like, it'll grab a hold of those walnuts. But get those on there, looking good. Get some of them out of the, there we go. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna let that sit there for about 10-15 minutes. Now it says that you want to serve it warm, and I'll buy that because you want that pudding-like consistency to be pudding-like. And then we're going to try it, but I want to sit here for 10-15 minutes, and we'll give it a shot and see how pudding-like it is. All right? So anyhow, I'll see you here in just a second. All right? Be right back. All right, so we just let this rest for like 10 minutes, maybe closer to 15, but it's not hot to the touch anymore. So that way we can get us a serving here. Right there, excellent. Yeah, I can actually grab the handles now without it like scalding me. The bottom's still a little warm. Now, for note, glass usually cools down quicker than metal, so we'll see. Ooh, I definitely feel some ooey gooey love down in there for a chocolate cobbler. Oh yeah, good golly, yeah, that's freaking awesome. Grab a little more of that gooiness there. Now, let's say, and this is just a wild guess because I've never eaten a chocolate cobbler before, but I have had a chocolate lava cake that Chris made one year that's very similar to this. And let's say this is probably going to get a lid on it and set it overnight. And the next morning, you can cut you out a piece, just throw it in the microwave for about 15-20 seconds, and it should bring it right back to this. But right here is our end result, and that looks fantastic, if I do say so myself. That's lots of ooey gooiness on the bottom, that chocolate pudding is. I mean, it could probably stand to cool just a little bit longer, but who wants to wait? It's not so hot that we can't eat it, right? That's the important thing. It's chocolate. We've had a good long day. We worked hard today, did lots of things. We deserve a little chocolate. So let's get some of that gooiness on there and give her a shot. Wow. Oh my gosh. That is so rich. That pudding is so creamy. And that top is so moist. Oh my. It's like a little bit of heaven. So on the ingredients list on my page, it says at the top, don't lose this recipe. It's fire. They're not wrong. I mean, this has just got some basic ingredients in it. Nothing hard, nothing difficult. You don't need a mixer. You don't need a blender. You don't need a food processor. All you need is a couple of bowls, a whisk, and a spatula. And you got some of the best chocolate cobbler. I mean, not that I have a lot to compare it to, but as far as chocolates go, holy cow, this is amazing. You guys have to try this. Hands down, try it. What? 15 minutes put together, half hour in the oven, 15 minutes, let it cool, and serve it to your family. They will be praising you forever. You know, forever. That is awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to go get Chris and Abby because Sarah fell asleep on us. So they can get a piece of this. And they can experience the joy that I am experiencing right now. So, try this. If you do try this, let me know. You know, you won't go wrong. I guarantee it. You make this, take it to a neighborhood picnic, you are going to have like 8,000 friends. I guarantee it. You know, serve it to your family. They're going to love you. Serve it to a neighbor. You know, they'll be at your house every other day for dinner, or at least good conversation and a cup of coffee, hoping you made more. So, that being said, next week, as always, I don't know what we're going to cook. I don't know what we're going to bake, but we're going to do both of those, and we're going to do it together. I may put out another video this weekend showing you the flower beds and the start of the gardens. The gardens is going to be a bit of a process, but I got at least 2 of the boxes built for the above ground garden beds and the raised garden beds. But I mean, there's going to be a lot more to it than that. But we'll get let's take a look at what I've got going so far and what I want to do next. All right. Well, until maybe this weekend with the flowers in the garden. Definitely next week. I love you, and I love you very much. And I mean that. I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. I know I say that all the time, but it's true. You know, and you should hear it at least once a day. You know, somebody should tell you that they love you. I tell Chris and the kids I love them constantly. I don't want them to ever forget it, not for a second. And tell somebody else, tell somebody you love them and you love them very much. It's going to make their day a whole lot better. It could change their outlook on life completely. Share some of this chocolate cobbler with them. I guarantee you'll warm the cockles of their heart and they'll know you love you. So, till next week, I will talk to you then. All right? I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.